Ruiz, Ruiz at first interests me. I know you mentioned that was a position that you guys wanted him.
He starts there, but this is an infielder by trade, right? Third baseman, second baseman, and he has started some games in the minor leagues at first base. Yeah, so we're exposing him, Patrick, to another position. I think he's also played some left field for Albuquerque there too. So again, like we've done with a lot of our players, which has worked to their advantage and ours, the broadening of their versatility, I think, is a great thing for players, and they, meaning the players, are always receptive to that. Because you know what, Patrick, guys want to play. They want to get in the lineup. The more ways they can do it, the better off for them. So he's going to play first.
For me, Ryan McMahon has been hitting the ball pretty well. And I asked you this recently about Charlie Blackmon, but he hasn't hit a home run in quite some time.
No, it's been a while for that.
Is some of it related to health reasons? And I'm not talking about just the leg issue he had for the last week, but he had some other problems too. And I don't get to talk to him every day like I normally would, so I really don't know. But he got off to such a hot start, with the home runs, and he hasn't hit one lately. I'm curious, do you have any theories?
It's a little bit of a drought. I think physically he's fine. I think it's probably a combination of a couple things. I think he's getting pitched a little bit different. There's been some adjustments made by the opposing pitchers. And I think also with Mac, I think he knows he hasn't hit a homer. So I think not all at bats, but certain at bats, maybe the swing has gotten a little big and a little long, maybe trying to lift the ball and get the ball in the air and maybe trying, I don't want to say trying for homers, but that's in there a little bit. I think homers come when you don't try. When you don't try to hit them. I think you just try to have a solid at bat and put a good swing on a good pitch to hit. But you're right, it's been a little bit lengthy for Mac, which is out of character, but I think those two things are coming into play. How they're pitching him and at times a little bit of a swing.
Okay. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Thomas Harding?
Buddy, I don't know if you're aware, but the trade deadline's coming up tomorrow.
No way.
Okay. Believe it or not, when a guy, have you ever been in a situation of say a John Gray that is scheduled to pitch with all this flying around on the very day? How much do you communicate with him on just what's going on, whether it's keeping him abreast, whether it's just kind of making sure that he's in the right place as far as being ready to pitch?
Individually based, depends on the individual. With John and I, it's been very little conversation. That's just sort of how I've handled it with John. And I think John's fine with that. He knows how we feel about him. This is his organization, first round pick. He was raised by the Rockies. I think he has a emotional attachment to the Rockies. And I haven't wanted to mess with that. I know how strongly he feels about this organization. So I've sort of, let each day go on. And I know that Steve Foster and John have a great relationship. I think Fosty's keeping him pretty grounded and with great perspective. So John actually has handled this great. So, we'll see what happens the next 24 hours. But I think you got to remember that, John, I think really relishes being a Rocky. And on a side note, in 1990, I was traded from Cleveland to Toronto in the middle of my warm-up session before a ball game. So I sort of know how that feels, to be talked about. I was in the middle of my warm-ups at Municipal Stadium in Cleveland, and the pitching coach sort of left my side. He was called down to the dugout, returned about 90 seconds later, and sort of took the ball away from me. And actually, it was Mark Weiland, who's our director of pitching. Mark took the ball out of my hand and said, buddy, you need to go in and see Hank and Johnny McNamara. I think we've made a trade. So this was like a 7:35 game in Cleveland. This is probably about 7:20. So walked down, I got traded right then and there to Toronto.
Wow.
So
Okay.
Tinoco and Fuentes to Albuquerque, Goudeau and Mujica to the Rockies.
Either of those
Thank you.
guys looked at as a starter? Mujica?
Yeah, Mujica can start. Yeah, Mujica's a starter, and so can Goudeau. He started too. So they're both starters, but they can pitch in relief as well.
Okay. All right. Hey, with Goudeau, he's been with a number of different organizations this year. I think with you guys twice, Reds twice. It may be 7. I'm not sure. Have you had a chance to talk to him and say?
Yeah, we talked about it today. Since November, it's been a whirlwind for him. Right? He left us, went to the. I don't know whether I can recall everywhere he went, but I want to say 7 organizations since November.
And a year later, he's back with you.
Yeah, I told him that, Ashton, as crazy as it sounds, that you're wanted. You keep getting picked up by teams. I go, you have to start worrying when you don't get picked up. I think it was Pirates, Reds, Dodgers, Giants, Rockies, back to the Reds. Yeah, it was crazy for him.
Yeah, I think the Orioles were in there too.
Yeah, the Orioles were in the mix too. Yeah, he went to Baltimore.
Orioles, Giants, yeah. Wow. I'm wondering if he got a T-shirt from each of those at least.
Yeah, he's probably got some gear, Thomas. He's probably got 6 duffel bags and a whole bunch of gear. He can give to his buddies. He can give to his people.
Good. All right. Hey, thanks, buddy.
Okay.
Tracy?
Hey, buddy, with Hilliard, it looks like he's a much different player right now than when we've seen him before. Does that affect other young guys too, to maybe realize, hey, I do have to make some adjustments?
I hope so. I think, I hope that there's that conversation happening amongst themselves. And, Sam does, we're continuing to monitor Sam and what we think he needs to do. And it basically, Trace, it needs to be a shorter, more direct stroke to the ball. There's a little bit of length to his swing. He's got strength. He doesn't need to have the big, long swing. So trying to shorten that swing the best we can. Sam understands what he has to do. He's got to put the bat on the ball. The swing and miss has to come out of his game, and the chase, rate has to be in a pretty good spot. And, Sam's always been decent with, his ability to not chase. That's something that he's, continues to prioritize. But the shorter swing is something that is imperative for him to make sure that he gets the bat to the ball. But so far so good here in his return.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah, buddy, Joshua, how did he handle the news that he was being sent down, and what do you want to see from him before that?
Yeah, he was fine. I mean, he was, disappointed, but I think that Josh needed to exhale and get back on the horse in AAA and get back to that, that mental frame where he's in a good spot and he's getting hits and being Josh Fuentes. I think anytime you slump, it's frustrating for first and foremost the player. So let's get that frustration out a little bit, let him exhale, get to AAA, and get back to the performance that we know he's capable of. I mean, he was disappointed, but he understood.
Thank you.
Owen?
Yeah, I was going to ask about Joshua also. And just, is there anything else in terms of what practically he can get down there and what he needs? Because we definitely saw highs and lows from him over the
Yeah,
course of the
sure.
season.
No, I think, just get some regular, everyday at bats, get some base hits. Get that confidence back in his being, because I think when Josh plays, he plays with a lot of joy and a lot of passion. I think that, the frustration got to him a little bit. I think he started chasing hits, and that's awful tough to do in the big leagues against this type of pitching. But, he's going to be fine. He's got, I think he does have a natural ability to hit. But there's some things that he's working on, and I think even in a short period of time, he can clear his head, get down and play, and come back being in a much better spot, mentally and physically.
Those. I hope I phrased this correctly. And if you don't want to answer it, it's cool. Regarding John Gray, my opinion, given his talent, his comfort level at Coors, he's made it very clear to many of us that he would like to stay in Colorado. I don't know how much input you're going to have in possible future negotiations, but would you pitch for John Gray, so to speak, to come back here, re-sign with this team? Do you think that would be a wise move for this organization?
Yes, yeah, but again, it takes two to tango, right?
Okay, sure.
And there's a lot that goes into that, right? But again, as negotiations can be complicated, but if John, like you say, wants to make this happen, it can happen.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.